Well, hello and welcome to Yellow Flag FPL, the podcast where all of our opinions should be yellow flagged. My name is Harry.
And I'm Stephen Berry.
And it is the final week, Stephen. Yes, it is finally coming to a close. The pre-season games are over. We've seen Liverpool lose at the Community Shield. Hopefully we won't see Tottenham lose to PSG. Injuries are starting to come in and, of course, new players signing as well. We've already made the bold prediction that Sunderland are going to stay up.
Yep.
This is pretty exciting. I'm pretty confident on that, to be honest. But on this week, we're going to go through some shouts. We're going to call it 2 good or 3 good and 3 bad. Sort of players to avoid. And also any players that we should put on the watch list, which is an important thing to do. I do believe in the watch list. I've got loads of players on there who could be interesting for us as we go forward. So we're going to break this up into a couple of podcasts as well. So please do follow through with the part 1s, 2s, and maybe even a third there for us. So let's kick it off with goalkeepers. So Stephen, you want to go first with your goalkeeper picks? Let's start with the 2 good. I'll give my 2 good, and then we'll go from there.
Exactly. So one of my 2 goods is it's actually quite boring. It's quite FPL-y, Barry, if I dare be so bold, and that is Darlow at Leeds. So 4 million as a kickoff. If he was 4.5 or even 4.1, I wouldn't be considering, but he is 4 million. I think he's the only, and I'm going to be a bit bolder, I think he's the only 4 million keeper who's going to start. I know your team might throw a spanner in there, which I'm sure you might want to talk about. But it looks like Dubravka isn't going to start. He hasn't played any of the friendlies for Burnley. I'm not even sure if he's come on. Dubravka is currently the highest owned goalkeeper currently at 27.5%. So obviously a lot of people think I'm an idiot. And those people are usually correct. But he hasn't played any minutes. Even if he is going to be the number 1, which I definitely can't rule out, he's not going to start till game week 4 at best. When Raya joined Arsenal roughly the same time as Dubravka joined Burnley, he came in around game week 6. And that's actually another thing that we'll probably touch on as the podcast goes on, is a lot of interesting players have been signed, but especially if someone's going to bench boost in game week 1, I would be very, very reticent about putting anyone into your team for that week who's signed this week. The chance of them starting is pretty iffy, to be honest with you. But anyway, Darlow started the last few games at Leeds last season. He's played most of their friendlies, if not all of them. He, for me, is the only guaranteed starting 4 million keeper. So he's my lock, I would say.
Cool. And your second keeper that you think's worth mentioning?
I've gone for Martinez. So that means that Darlow is going to play the first game. And I'm going to tell you why. Villa, as we know, have the easiest start, probably. I think on balance, they probably have the easiest first 6 to 8 weeks. And just going through the rest of the Villa team, obviously, we'll get to forwards later. I'm sure it doesn't take a genius to work out who I'm thinking about there. The rest of the Villa team, I'm a bit like, I don't really know who to go for, both at the defence and in the midfield. So obviously, something to highlight is if you picking a goalkeeper means you're also blocking off a spot elsewhere. But with the rest of the Villa team, I'm sure I'll find somebody at some point for maybe that third Villa slot. But it's going to be one, I think. It's going to be, okay, let's just say his name, Watkins. It's going to be Watkins. And then 2, not sure. I think, obviously, Rodgers is injured. Marlon isn't guaranteed minutes. They've just signed, is it Gesand? He might come into the team. I just think Villa early on, there's too many unsures. They're not brilliant defensively. They're much better going forward, so that's obviously an issue for their defenders. So I don't have an issue in Martinez not playing the first game week. Darlow having the gloves against Everton at home. I think that's a fine first fixture for Darlow. And Martinez to come in moving forward. He's a good goalkeeper. He usually gets points. He was injured a fair bit last season from memory. That's why Brighton didn't have his usual season. But if I'm being completely honest, I still have this feeling that Trafford is going to come in at Man City, and he's also 5 million. And I want to have the budget there to do a quick transfer. So that's my thinking there.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I'm interested with the Martinez shout, particularly if he gets bought by United. That'd be funny.
Oh, God.
But
Surely not now.
yeah. Well,
Surely. Didn't they just sign somebody else? Oh no, they're trying to get
no.
Donnarumma, aren't they? That's the.
Yeah, they're trying to get Donnarumma, but I can't imagine that happening. To be honest, he's been left out of the PSG squad, but I think it's more likely he'll go back to Italy than go to United. To be honest, well, I've gone for Petrovic, who has signed for Bournemouth from Chelsea, 25 million. And the price tag pretty much dictates he's going to start. He's 4.5 million on FPL, 5 cleanies in 22 games the season before last. He's roughly about 5% owned. Bit of a differential. Thinking about strategy and stuff like that, I think I'm pretty set on bench boosting in game week 2. And if I had Petrovic, that would be, I think they've got Wolves at home for game week 2. So it's not a bad fixture to have for your second string goalkeeper or your first string at all. And if you pair that with like a Sanchez, let's say, who's got West Ham away, that's 2 pretty green fixtures for your goalkeepers. Not bad. And I think they do rotate quite nicely. So Sanchez is the other goalkeeper I would put in my good category. He's 5 million, which is a bit more than I would normally spend on a goalkeeper. But you know what? I really rate Chelsea this season. I've said it before. I think they're going to be in a chance of going for the title. I don't think they'll get there. But I think Chelsea are really going to be in that conversation. And I think, potentially they could even get that second spot. So, yeah, I think Chelsea defence looks pretty good. He had 32 starts last season and got 10 clean sheets, which is not bad. So I think Sanchez is a pretty good shout in terms of how many people own him. I think it's going to be quite... He's 19.2. That's quite low. I expected him to be higher.
Well, you've got to remember he is an awful goalkeeper. I like him as an FPL shout, but let's be very frank. How he's still there... I don't think Bowley knows what goalkeepers are. I think he's looking for quarterbacks mainly, so he knows how to sign every other position, but it's genuinely incredible to spend, was it 1.5 billion, and he's still your goalkeeper. That's actually quite impressive, but for all the wrong reasons. But nevertheless, from FPL, it doesn't really matter that he's terrible. Chelsea aren't going to face a lot of shots on target. He's going to get a lot of clean sheets. I like Petrovic, actually. I think he's a good goalkeeper. Obviously, he's playing Liverpool. Obviously, Liverpool is his first game, but you're not going to start him for that. You're not a bit worried, though, that... I know you're looking at save points here, but Bournemouth have lost their entire back four.
Yeah, but then you also look at their... I know they've lost their entire back four, that is true, but they've also got some nice attacking wingers there. Raiola is a good manager. He will keep them organised, whether they're playing kids at the back or playing established players. But look, they've got some interesting players coming through. I really like even though we sort of mocked him a little bit, their right or left back who's replaced Kirkes Truffaut. I really like him. He scored 2 goals in pre-season against Bristol City. Looks like he's a really attacking player. I think he's in the same shout as that Brighton wing-back, De Croyer, who's got a pretty nice... goals and assist record for a 4.5 anyway. I understand what you're saying, but I think that Bournemouth will be okay. And if you're looking for a clean sheet 1 in 3 from a 4.5, that's okay. It's not too bad.
Yeah, fair enough. And just to be clear, I don't think Bournemouth are going to get relegated or anything like that. I agree that the manager's great. I just think when you have it, if you lose 1 or 2, but literally betting in a whole back 4, I think they're probably going to be leaky. If you look at when they first came in, they were pretty poor for their first 8 games. I think it's going to take a little bit of time. But yeah, nevertheless, you've got Sanchez there. You can rotate. I think that's, you should be fine. A moment of agreement between us, Barry. We have 2 different goalkeepers, but we are agreeing with each other. I can promise you that will not be the case as this goes on, but it's nice to have some agreement at the start.
Well, let's go into the too bad then. I'm sure we can find something we disagree on. Why don't you go first then, Stephen? Tell us who your 2 bad goalkeeper shouts. Players to avoid.
Well, one of them I've already sort of given away is Dubravka, so I just don't think he's going to start, so I want to be quick about that one. But then the second most popular goalkeeper, my hatred for Brentford keepers will continue, Kelleher. Why, oh why, is he 21% owned? I do not get it. I must have missed every single Liverpool game where he played. I don't remember missing them because I remember watching him being pretty mediocre, but I've obviously missed something. I do not understand why people think he's this unbelievable shot stopper. He's okay. He's not terrible. He's a bit better than Flecken, but let's be frank, that's all he is. Again, and I don't think you need to be a football insight genius to say that Brentford are going to have a tough time this season. I don't mean to talk about that. I just don't. I don't get it. I don't see clean sheets. I don't see a lot of saves. He's also now just injured. I mean, but even if he was guaranteed to play every week, I don't get it. I really, really do not see why he's so highly earned.
I think it's where he plays in a pretty decent team. And I think despite your conclusions about Brentford's chances of getting relegated, I don't think many people agree with you, Stephen. But anyway, we'll park that. Yes.
Come on. Everyone has tipped Brentford for the job because, like, I think like
no one has, Stephen. I don't know what articles you've been reading and watching.
Well, let's go to the ultimate arbiters, but let's look at the bookies. Brentford must be fourth favourite behind the promoted teams, surely, which is not great.
You're not winning any friends, and I want to still see you in that Brentford goalkeeper kit.
I will. So I am buying that. The problem is I looked at it the other day, and the Brentford goalkeeper, they don't have the current goalkeeper kit available, and the one from last season looks really nice. It's actually quite a nice kit, so I don't think it just seems much of a forfeit really. But I am buying the Brentford kit. But yes, Brentford are fourth favourite to go down with the bookies.
Okay, cool. Well, my two first is Vicario of Spurs. So keep the jokes coming. But look, he's 5 million in FPL, and there is rumours going around that Frank really likes Kingsley, who's the other goalkeeper that we have, 4.5. And he kind of prefers him a little bit in training, apparently. Although that hasn't really been reflected in the pre-season, but they have both played games, so it's like, how much can you really get from that? While Spurs' problems last season were not like really on Vicario, in the previous seasons where we did okay, he only got 7 clean sheets in 38 games, which is about 18%. So it's not great. So maybe there is a time for a change in between the sticks at Spurs. I'm not saying it will happen, but if I was owning him, I'd be nervous about that. I just don't think he's guaranteed to start, and at 5 million, that's quite an expensive mistake.
Yep.
The other goalkeeper that I don't think is worth going near is Nick Pope of Newcastle. I think there's just too much uncertainty around his selection. So you bought in Ramsdale. He won't have come cheap in terms of wages. He did get injured a bit last season, so maybe with other commitments, where maybe he'll get rested and rotated. Will Eddie Howe want to play him every week? Because losing him clearly had an impact on the team. Not saying that Aaron Ramsdale's a better keeper than Nick Pope, by no means, but I do think that I am nervous about who's going to be selected. I'd say.
I think one key thing with Pope versus Ramsdale is I think everyone would agree that Pope is a better shot stopper. He's less accident prone, but Pope cannot play with his feet, and Newcastle, he's basically, I think, the only goalkeeper now in the Prem who can't play with his feet. So his days were always going to be numbered. And why else would Newcastle go for someone like Ramsdale? I mean, if they
yeah, it seems a bit weird.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one. And also, we're probably going to talk more. We will talk more about this a bit later. But Newcastle's transfer window has been hilariously bad. For everything Sunderland have done right, Newcastle have done wrong. Again, that may come up once or twice as this goes on. I mean, obviously, Newcastle probably aren't going to have the best season either. So even if Pope does play every week, is he going to be the best choice? Probably not.
Cool. I did have on my watch list Dubravka and Trafford. I think yes, Dubravka is a wait and see, but if he does get the nod eventually, I think that's a good option. And Trafford as well. 5 million, but if he starts playing for Man City regularly, he's going to be a bargain. So look, that concludes goalkeepers. Let's move on to defenders, and I'll kick it off. Before the Community Shield, I did put down Virgil van Dijk over Frimpong or Kirkes, and Frimpong obviously scored a cross or goal, whatever you want to call it.
They all count.
So do have a look. They all count. Decide for yourself. But getting into very attacking positions, which is good to see. But I do think that Virgil van Dijk will be better for the Defcons. He'll start every game. He will score the odd goal. He's a lock. Set and forget at 6 million. With less expensive defenders in the game in general, I think he's probably the pick of the bunch, although currently I'm sitting on Out Nori. He was third in the defensive list last season in terms of points. He's currently 22% owned, 3 goals and 1 assist last season. So yes, I think he's worth a shout. Liverpool's defence is generally quite good. They do have a rough start. I'm probably going to start with a Man City defender, but then with a view to move over to a Liverpool defender. Stephen, your thoughts?
So, as you guys know, the format is we do 3 people we think you should have and 3 people that you should avoid. And Van Dijk is also on my list, but very much in the other camp. Avoid. I'm so glad everyone saw that Community Shield. He's a bad defender. The most overrated player in the Premier League. He's now swearingly getting to, not of all time, there's other players who, still far ahead of him there, but he's catching up. Does the Community Shield mean a lot to Liverpool? Yes, I know, but it's such bad defending. And for somebody who's meant to defend on aura, I can't see him getting many DEFCON points. Also, one thing I think was highlighted there, as much as we like Frimpong and Kirkers, Liverpool are going to be shaky at the back from the looks of things. They've basically replaced Trent and Robertson with even more attacking fullbacks and people who sit back less. So I don't think Liverpool are going to keep anywhere near the same amount of clean sheets. They don't play with this as a higher line as what they did under Klopp. But I think Liverpool, their strategy is we're gonna score 1 more than you. So Liverpool still very much favourites the Premier League, especially if they get other players. But I don't think they're not gonna bore their way to the Premier League title. I think they're gonna be reasonably leaky. And I just don't think. Yeah. I think if it's 6 million, Van Dijk is just not going to be worth it. There are many better options than him. Avoid.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll put that rant out. I'll clip that rant up about your hatred of Virgil van Dijk. Obviously, I disagree. But my other defender to consider, although I'm sort of leaning off him recently, is Wan-Bissaka. He is the highest scoring 4.5 defender in the game. Yes, it's West Ham, I know. And I actually think that going back to West Ham are my favourites to go down.
To
replace Sunderland.
Wow.
But I reckon Potter 5 by Christmas. That's my other shout.
Yeah.
But look, the last couple of weeks of last season, it looked like Wan-Bissaka was getting into much more attacking positions. He got 2 goals, 6 assists in 35 starts last season. Only 6 clean sheets as a 4.5 that you can rotate. I think he's pretty solid. He also rotates quite nicely with Konsa. So if you have both of those, you can kind of keep them tipping out in and out, no problems at all. He's not good for a bench boost game week 2 because he's got Chelsea at home. But I would be tempted just to keep him in case he got an attacking return against Chelsea, or easily I could just rotate him out, and that's no problem. I'm pretty set on him, although that I could potentially move him out because I think that Sunderland away is the worst fixture West Ham could have drawn first game of the season. Horrible. It is a toughie. And then my final 4.5, I mentioned him already, Truffert at Bournemouth. Look, we love wing backs at Bournemouth, don't we? And they seem to get forward and score goals, which is always good. I think he's probably the one to watch. He does have Liverpool first game of the season, but again, if you're looking at that bench boost game week 2, he's got Wolves at home. Currently, I'm starting with Truffert and Evan Nilsson for that reason. Yeah. So I'm pretty set, to be honest, on that. But yeah, your thoughts on my other 2 good defenders that
I like Truffert. He's definitely I'll do my good now because one of my first good ones was going to be Destiny Udogie. Spurs have a great start. I think he's priced at 4.5 million because of how much he was injured last season, but he's a really good fullback. He really is. He's right up there in terms of top fullbacks in the league, and this is an Arsenal fan. It pains me to say that, but he is excellent. Mm-hmm. He can defend. He can attack. Spurs have an easy start. They are not going to be as bad as they were last season. That's almost impossible. Frank likes playing with proper wing backs as well. you should get further. Well, I guess it's impossible for a defender to get further forward than under Ange, but either way, he's gonna be in the final third. Let's put it that way. Annoyingly, as I look at my team, I see that yellow flag come in, which is frustrating. He wasn't that way, obviously, when I got him in.
Yeah.
He was basically in all my drafts from the start of the season, Udogie. Do you know anything about his injury? Is it a bad one?
No, but he is being included in the squad that playing PSG despite that injury, but so is Solanke as well. Honestly, I don't know. I suspect he probably will start against Burnley first game of the season, but I think, that is quite annoying. He is also currently in my team and also will be a pretty bad pick for game week 2 bench boosting. So he could be on the chopping block before the season starts if that yellow flag stays there.
Yeah, so... I mean, if I'm, more news to come out, see the team is tomorrow, but yeah, a fully fit Destiny Udogie could set and forget. He's a really, really good player. No, sometimes in FPL you just forget about that, but fundamentally, good players are good players. The returns will come. So he's up there for me. My other one is Gabriel. You want an Arsenal defender. I think Arsenal will have the best defensive record this season. Arsenal, when they really needed a striker, signed a DM, so that gives you some insight into Arsenal's priorities, or Arteta's priorities, I should say. I just think they're going to have the best defence this season. As mentioned, I think Liverpool are going to be a bit leaky. Maybe Man City. I mean, Man City are interesting because it's looking a bit worrying. They might be back to their best, but we'll see. But nevertheless, I'm still pretty confident Arsenal will keep the most clean sheets and concede the least goals this season. Therefore, you want an Arsenal defender. Why Gabriel? The fullbacks at Arsenal are risky because I don't know who's going to start between White and Timber. If I did know that, if I thought they're both, one of them was going to play every week, I would say one of those two, but I'm not sure. On the left, again, Luis Skelly and Calafiore, that's a bit of a toying cost. There's actually a chance that they both get rotated across the season. Saliba and Gabriel are going to play.
I think so.
Yeah, Saliba and Gabriel are going to play every week. So, what Gabriel has is more of a goal threat from corners. If you went for the Rolls Royce, there'd be that would also be fine. It's perhaps not 50-50, but yeah, you want an Arsenal defender. Gabriel got more goals last season from corners, so he's my second one. And then the last one is Frimpong. Great. I mean, yes, that it was an unbelievable, spectacular shot on goal in the Community Shield. He obviously meant every second of that. Obviously not, but what does it mean? He gets forward, and Slot is the anti-Pep. He's come out and given FPL managers some information, which is when Salah's at AFCON, Frimpong will be my right winger. So he obviously has time to change his opinion on that one. There's a long way to go, but at the very least, that tells you a lot about what Slot sees Frimpong as. He is going to get forwards. You get points for goal. If Liverpool win 2-1 and he gets a goal and assist, he'll outscore the loss of the clean sheet, basically. So he's very much worth the money.
Oh, well, question about the Arsenal defender there. Do you think it's worth starting with Gabriel? Because obviously he's got that great second game against Leeds at home, but he's got Man United away first game of the season, which I actually think Man United wins that game, to be honest.
What?
So I think Man United wins that game.
You're such a Spurs fan. What?
No, this is not because I'm a Spurs fan. It's not because I'm a Spurs fan.
Right.
On what evidence? Because it'd be funny, and and Arsenal were so rattled, and as I can see by how easy it was to get a reaction out of you, how the fans will be. But do you think it's worth starting with Gabriel? Because I think Man United will score in that game. So would you be starting with him?
He's currently in my team. I probably will start him. I mean, I don't want to go through the rest of the team given that I'm going to keep with Doggy, and my other one's going to be, everyone's got him, Esteve, just quickly on him, 4 million, guaranteed to start at Burnley, seems to be their best defender, he was with them last season, and Burnley, conceded, 15 goals and whatever, so just quickly, so I'm probably not going to start him at home to Tottenham, so probably I'm going to start Gabriel, but really? You think Man U, why? What evidence do you know what? I think we're going to talk about Man U players a bit later, so maybe let's hold that for now. But Wow.
Yeah.
That's not a yellow flag opinion. That is a red flag opinion. Like, Jesus Christ. Wow.
I'm pretty happy with that. But I'll go through my bad defenders then.
Yeah, please.
In general, I've just, carte blanche put Nottingham Forest defenders in this category, and it's not just because their owner is the Greek Donald Trump, but it's because I just don't see them performing to the same level as what they did last season, and with an extra 0.5 and even a 1 million increase in their price, their points per million just goes significantly down. Even with the Defcoms helping them, they massively outperformed their clean sheet returns last season. I think they'd have to get Defcons in 17 games to match their score last season if their clean sheets returned to what they should be, i.e. they return back to what the statistics say they should. So I think the price is also pretty prohibitive with the high ownership, and you've got to think about Europe, injuries and such. So yeah, I'd hard avoid those guys. There is an argument for Nico Williams, and Aina, but I think I won't be going near those guys.
I'm with you. I think avoid Murillo and Milokovic, but I have Aina because Nottingham Forest. I agree with you. Nottingham Forest are not going to be as good as they are last season in Europe, but their start is too good to ignore. Everyone seems to be going for Williams over Aina, and I don't understand why. Aina got more points, got more goals, everything. Like, I like both. I like both players. I'm just, what am I missing? Why is Williams now so superior to Aina?
So Nico Williams got 1 goal, 3 assists. Aina got 2 goals and 1 assist. So there's a cigarette paper between the two. There is 2 extra clean sheets for Aina. So it might be simply based on those numbers. It could be a differential thing. Aina is about 17% owned. Nico Williams is actually at 7.6. So actually you're in the higher camp there for the obvious reasons. But thinking about it, I'd be tempted to start with Nico Williams, having said everything there, because he's got Brentford at home first game, and then he's got Crystal Palace away as a second, which is not bad for that bench boost. I'd probably be sticking with Aina if I was you, to be honest. But like I said, I'm just not hot on Nottingham Forest defenders. I think their clean sheets will severely deteriorate this season, and they won't justify the price tag.
I agree. I think the other thing I'd add to that is a sort of caveat is from game week 6, 7 onwards, I'm not going to have Nottingham Forest in my team. Mm-hmm. But for the start, I think they're fine.
Okay, cool. Well, my other defenders to avoid, Lewis Skelly.
Okay.
I have a small rant about this.
Do you now? Because is the rant around how like Hale N can create players, whereas your player of the future you loan out to Rangers because you can't develop your own talent? Is that the rant? I mean, if so, I'm with you on that one.
No, it's not going to be about that. I think he's a great player. I think he's a really good player. I'm not going to say that he's a bad player at all. What I'm annoyed about is I've never understood why he's got such a price rise. Right? He was a midfielder last season, so therefore he became like pretty much a non-option. Yeah, because he was too expensive for what we wanted. Right? Fine. Okay. But he's 5.5 million this season, and as you said, not 2-3 minutes ago, right? Those wing backs are not going to be starting every single game. He's going to get rotated hugely. So I don't understand what FPL have seen that have gone, okay, he's got to get his price right. I think he should have been at 5 million, because then he'd be really interesting. Then it would be a risk, right? At 5 million, you could start him, and maybe he wouldn't play every game. Maybe he'll come off the bench. But yeah, 5.5 million. Okay, admittedly, it's in a good defence, but he's had 1 attacking return in 23 games. He's had more red cards than returns, right? And then they've conceded.
There we go.
And they've conceded 16 goals in the games that he started. 16 out of 23 games, right? And there's about 6% of people that own them, and those 6% must be just deluded Arsenal fans, because there's no way that 5.5 is deserved. No way. More red cards
I quite like
goals.
the crescendo there of like, he's actually quite a good player. I'm blaming FPL Towers, and then the truth came out that you don't rate him at all.
He is a good player, Stephen. He's just not worth 5.5. Which
that I agree.
Decided that was his price.
I
yeah, agree. I'm just saying he's been made a non-option. He's like a non. He's actually worse than a non-option. I'm furious about it. furious.
Point
And then
made.
finally,
To be fair, it was a very funny point, and I'll let it go. It's
I'm
a very
funny man, Stephen.
amusing
I'm a
point.
very
So
funny
I'll
man.
let it.
And then I'm also going to say that Anderson, I've seen a lot of players, Joachim Anderson has been entering their teams,
okay.
and I really don't understand that. 4
Right.
clean sheets in 30 games.
Wow, that actually is terrible.
Why? And I don't think he got a single attack in return. So what are we doing? And then one player from my watch list is Rico Henry at Brentford. I know you've ranted about Brentford, leave it alone.
Yeah.
A couple of seasons ago, he was a lock at Brentford, and he has started to return towards the end of last season. So he's getting further forward than most of the defenders, and he nearly scored in his last game as well. In his last full season, he got 11 clean sheets, 3 assists in 37 games, and as I said, I really rate Brentford. So I think he's worth at least putting in your watch list.
Fair enough. Well, just to wrap this up, I'll just do my final bad. So, As people know, I like to go a bit rogue and a bit differential. So I've already ruled out the second most owned defender in FPL, and I would now like to rule out the number 1 owned player, which Barry has also said is a must-have, which is Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Barry, you said it yourself. They're going to get relegated. They're terrible, West Ham, and they've been flirting with relegation for a while. I've already put a bet on Potter first sacking of the season. Nuno at Nottingham Forest was tempting because you can just see him going on a rant, blaming the owner for a loss and getting sacked, sort of, Pochettino style. But nevertheless, I could not agree with you more. Sunderland at home, they're going to lose that game, West Ham. They just are. It's a horrible, horrible banana skin for them. Their season's going to be over from the first game week. And Wan-Bissaka, no. I liked him. I think he was a bit underrated at Man U, but he's starting to get on a bit. But fundamentally, if you're picking a defender in a relegated team, you want them to be 4 million. I don't think he's going to get that many def cons. I don't even think he got that many def cons last season, actually. I think people just put him in because they're like, oh, he'll do it. But I don't think he will. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, no. 4.5 million for a team that's going to be in a dogfight? Absolutely not.
Fair enough. Any other avoid defenders?
Not really, actually. I mean, I don't like Munoz's price, but I wouldn't say completely avoid him. Man City, I don't know what their starting 11's going to be, so I think if you're starting with, Gardeval, Nori, Diaz, all great players. But I just honestly have no idea what Man City's team is going to be, so I would just say with Man City, wait and see, especially as I'm assuming most people aren't going to go Haaland and Salah, so they're probably going to have some money at the back. So let's just say Gardeval, the second argument, starts going gangbusters. You should be able to get him in pretty quickly. So that's not avoid, it's more of a wait and see.
Well, that is the end of part 1. We're going to come back with part 2 relatively shortly after, so keep giving us a like and subscribe. Follow us wherever you listen to your podcasts, and we'll be back with midfielders and then attackers. So thank you very much, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you.